Now we also want to look at the Navamsa chart. Very important. The Navamsa chart is the relationship chart, the ninth harmonic, and it's we want to really look at all indicators in the Navamsa. So the things that I've already talked about, you want to look at them in the Navamsa chart. That means Venus in the Navamsa chart. You want to look at the 7th house in the Navamsa chart, the 7th Lord in the Navamsa chart. We're going to look at that masculine, feminine things that I've been talking about as well. Again, always, those are always at play. If it's a man's chart, right? Or it's a woman's chart, you want to look at the moon in the Navamsa, see if it's masculine or feminine. You want to see what's influencing the moon in the Navamsa chart. Venus as well, all of that, the 7th Lord, the 7th house. And you want to also pay close attention to dashas, which I'm going to talk about dashas in the next video. But the harmonic charts become very important as far as ripening of karmas using the dashas, primarily. They do show a capacity, they do show a tendency, but really the specifics come out, and the best way to use the harmonic charts is in the dashas, because they really flesh out the specifics of the dashas and what manifests as a result. So, for instance, in any situation, you want to look at the dasha planet in the Navamsa and see how it's relating to relationships. You want to see if it rules any of those factors. You want to see if it, if that dasha is running. This is true in the Rashi chart as well when it comes to timing. And I'm going to talk about that in the next video when I talk about dashas and timing and how to see our relationships change and when we grow. But in general, for the Navamsa, you want to look at all indicators, and you want to look at the overall health of the Navamsa as well. That includes the Lagna. The Navamsa is the chart of it, and you are the person, you're the first house in the Navamsa chart. The 7th house is your partners in the Navamsa chart. So let's say you have a Capricorn Lagna in the Navamsa. It shows that on a very deep level, you're Capricorn-like in relationships. Regardless of your ascendant in the Rashi chart, you'll have that Capricorn kind of feeling. For instance, I have Gemini rising but in my Navamsa chart, it's Scorpio. So there's kind of like a Scorpio approach to relationships on some level, a kind of deep thing that you might not expect. When you look at the Navamsa, though, Scorpio is the rising sign. So you want to look at that kind of deeper level, a deeper sort of karmic level of unfolding in the Navamsa chart as well. So you just want to assess it as a chart and then look at those specific things as well. So let's say it was that Capricorn rising and Saturn is in the first. Well, then it means you're going to feel that kind of Capricorn nature and energy, and you'll have a lot of integrity around it because Saturn, the ruler, is in the first. So it's very empowered. Or let's say, Jupiter's in the first or whatever, the health of the chart is good, then you'll actually have a pretty strong structure and foundation, kind of, I don't like to use spiritually, but it's kind of that sort of nature, like your soul and your consciousness is, pretty aligned around that thing. In mine, I do have the Scorpio rising, but I also have exalted moon. So even though it might look like I would be hard, actually, once a relationship starts, I have a lot of devotion because I do have exalted moon there in the 7th house. So even though there's intensity, there's a lot of devotion there to, sort of stick with it. It might be hard to see that, maybe in the Rashi chart. Not really, but you understand what I mean, that you want to look at that Navamsa chart as a deeper level and assess all those factors. Look at Venus in the Navamsa chart because it's the Karaka of that chart. Look at the 7th Lord in the Navamsa chart. And again, look for masculine, feminine. Look at those kinds of things. Look at that kind of all indications from the Navamsa chart to see a kind of deeper connection. And especially pay attention in dasha cycles, because you'll see everything changes in the, dashas show the results. So a lot of the growth that we'll have a lot of bad relationships or difficult things, and then we will see the changes come during the dasha cycles, and the Navamsa and the harmonic charts are really where we can flesh a lot of that out. It's where we see the specifics of a lot of that stuff working out. So Navamsa chart, always assess all indicators for relationships on the personal side in the Navamsa. And again, remember, we're talking about the personal part of the three-pronged 3D relationship astrology. We haven't gotten into the Synastry or the Kutas, the Vedic, yet. We're just assessing an individual's tendency and capacity for relationships. Of course, also look at things like nodes, and the nodal axis in the 1 and 7 is very big, both in the Rashi chart and in the Navamsa chart.